Welcome back everyone to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, and today we have something so extraordinary, so mind-boggling in value and historical significance that it could change the way you look at that loose change sitting in your pocket right now, because what we are about to talk about is the story of a 1987 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a humble penny at first glance but in reality a staggering $245 million treasure because of the remarkable, almost unbelievable combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and historical circumstances that make it one of the most valuable small coins in the history of United States currency. And as we begin this incredible journey together, let me first say welcome to all of you coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, history lovers, and curious minds tuning in, because you're about to discover the specific mistakes, hidden details, and potential possibilities that make this 1987 penny so immensely valuable. So grab your seat, clear your mind, and let's immerse ourselves in the gripping details of how a coin worth 1 cent on its face became worth nearly $250 million, starting with the year 1987 itself, a time in U.S. history when the Lincoln cent was being struck primarily at the Philadelphia and Denver mints using the copper-plated zinc composition that had been adopted in 1982, replacing the long-standing bronze alloy, and this change in metal composition introduced its own set of potential problems, including plating blisters, incomplete bonding between copper and zinc, and uneven planchet preparation, which would sometimes lead to visible cracks, peeling, or odd coloration on the finished coins. But the coin we are talking about today goes far beyond these common flaws, because this is no ordinary mint error. This is a convergence of multiple highly dramatic minting mistakes, starting with the fact that the obverse die, the die used to strike the side with Abraham Lincoln's profile, was misaligned at an extremely rare angle known as a rotational die misalignment of nearly 180 degrees, meaning that when you flip the coin vertically, the reverse side is almost completely upside down compared to the obverse, a phenomenon that already makes certain coins rare but in this case was compounded by a double striking error, where the coin was struck twice without properly ejecting after the first strike, causing a ghostly secondary image of Lincoln's face to be faintly visible offset from the main portrait, giving the appearance of a shadow Lincoln staring into the distance. And this double strike was also accompanied by a partial collar strike, meaning the retaining collar that normally keeps the planchet in perfect round shape during striking was misaligned, causing the rim to be thicker and more pronounced on one side while tapering thinly on the other, producing an unusual oblong contour when viewed from certain angles. And as if that were not enough to make this coin a minting marvel, metallurgical analysis later revealed that the planchet itself was not the standard copper-plated zinc blank intended for circulation coins in 1987, but rather an experimental bronze alloy planchet, mistakenly fed into the press, likely left over from a special mint test or a mishandled batch from years earlier, giving it a composition of approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which not only changes the coin's weight from the standard 2.5 grams to the older 3.11 grams, but also produces a deeper, richer reddish-brown tone that stands out dramatically from other coins of the same year. And this alloy anomaly alone would be enough to make collectors' hearts race, but the combination of this wrong planchet with severe striking errors creates an unparalleled rarity, one that numismatic experts have described as a once-in-a-century piece. And when we examine the reverse side, the story becomes even more fascinating, because the Lincoln memorial design is not only misaligned in relation to the rim but also shows signs of die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring parts of Lincoln's outline faintly into the fields of the memorial side. So under magnification you can actually see ghostly impressions of Lincoln's jawline and coat collar faintly appearing between the memorial's columns, a detail so subtle that only the most trained eyes can spot it. And surrounding the memorial on the reverse is yet another anomaly, several letters in the inscriptions United States of America and E pluribus unum, either partially missing or doubled, likely due to die deterioration and insufficient striking pressure on one side of the coin, which suggests that the press may have been operating out of adjustment at the time, and adding to the mystique is the fact that this coin has a remarkable provenance. It was reportedly discovered not by a seasoned collector but by an unsuspecting individual going through loose change from a cash register in the late 1980s, and rather than spending it, they set it aside in a small box of odd coins and forgotten trinkets for over 2 decades before eventually bringing it to a local coin dealer, who upon examination immediately recognized its potential significance and sent it off for professional grading and authentication. And when it was encapsulated by one of the top grading services, it not only received a high mint state grade due to its minimal circulation wear but also carried an unprecedented set of error notations: rotated die, double strike, off-center collar, wrong planchette, die clash, and partial missing letters, all on a single coin, which is virtually unheard of in US minting history. And as the news of this coin's existence began to circulate in the numismatic community, interest skyrocketed, with prominent collectors and even museums expressing interest in acquiring it, leading to a series of high-profile private offers and eventually culminating in a record-breaking auction where fierce bidding drove the final hammer price to an astounding $245 million, a figure that stunned even seasoned coin market analysts and cemented its place as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. And while many might question how such a small object could command such a huge sum, the answer lies in the perfect storm of extreme rarity, historical significance, unique physical characteristics, and collector demand. And to put it into perspective, imagine owning the only known example of a piece of US currency that combines nearly every major type of mint error possible while also being struck on a wrong metal planchette from a bygone era. Such an item is not just a coin, it is a tangible piece of minting history, a conversation piece for the ages, and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the few who can afford it. And while the chances of finding another coin exactly like this are astronomically low, the existence of this 1,987 penny serves as a reminder that incredible treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, waiting in jars of change, tucked in drawers, or circulating quietly in the hands of people who have no idea of the value they carry. And this is why it is so important for anyone interested in coins to look closely at every single piece of change they come across, examining the details, checking for unusual features, and staying informed about known varieties and errors, because while most pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, every so often one turns up that is worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a private jet, and in this case, more than the lifetime earnings of many people, all packed into a coin small enough to slip into your pocket. And as we reflect on this astonishing story, it's worth noting that the 1987 Lincoln Cent as a series does not have many known high-value varieties compared to other years, which makes the appearance of this singular specimen all the more remarkable, and experts speculate that it may have been the product of an unusual set of circumstances at the mint, perhaps a maintenance period where dies were being replaced, a leftover experimental planchette accidentally mixed into a batch, and a press operator either unaware of or unable to correct the multiple striking anomalies happening during the production run. And the fact that this coin survived all these decades without being lost, damaged, or heavily circulated is nothing short of miraculous. And when you think about it, this story also reflects the incredible intersection of chance and human curiosity. Chance in that such a complex error could occur in the first place and remain undiscovered, and human curiosity in that someone decided to keep it and eventually have it examined rather than spending it without a second thought. And in the grand tapestry of coin collecting, it is stories like these that keep the passion alive for so many. The idea that somewhere out there, next 2008 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another thrilling deep dive into the mesmerizing and often unbelievable world of rare coins where history, art, and pure chance collide to create treasures that can be worth fortunes far beyond their humble face value. And today we are uncovering the fascinating story of a coin that is not just rare but is an absolute numismatic marvel, a coin so unique that it has been valued at a staggering $40 million, And it all starts with something so small and familiar, a 2008 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a penny you might think of as ordinary, unremarkable, just another piece of change jingling in your pocket. But this particular specimen is far from ordinary. It is a perfect storm of minting mistakes, production anomalies, and historical circumstances that have all combined to make it one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. And before we begin to unravel the full story of this jaw-dropping treasure, let me welcome all of you coin collectors, history buffs, treasure hunters, and curious minds who love the thrill of discovery, because the journey we are about to take is going to open your eyes to the incredible possibilities that exist when it comes to rare coins and the hidden value they can hold. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn why a simple 2008 penny could be worth enough to buy a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even retire comfortably for the rest of your life. And to truly appreciate why this coin commands such a massive value, we need to step back to the year 2008 itself, a year that marked a unique moment in the history of the Lincoln cent because it was the final full year before the major redesign in 2009 that commemorated the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent series. So while most 2008 pennies were struck using the standard copper-plated zinc composition that had been in use since 1982, consisting of a core of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer plating of 2.5% copper, something went incredibly wrong at the mint during the creation of this particular coin, and what makes it stand out begins with the planchet itself, because metallurgical testing has revealed that it was not struck on a standard zinc core planchet at all but on a leftover bronze planchet from decades earlier, the kind used prior to mid-1982, which was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a heavier weight of 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams, and this error alone is already a massive rarity in modern coinage, because by 2008, all bronze planchets should have been long gone, melted down, or accounted for, meaning the fact that one found its way into the presses is almost inexplicable and immediately sets this coin apart. But the wrong planchet is just the beginning of the story, because the striking process for this coin went wildly off track, starting with a dramatic off-center strike of about 40%, where the obverse design of Abraham Lincoln's bust is shifted far toward one edge of the coin, leaving a large crescent-shaped blank area of unstruck metal on one side, a striking error that visually jumps out at you and makes the coin look instantly unusual even to an untrained eye. But that's not all. This off-center strike was combined with a double strike, meaning that after the initial off-center impression, the coin was somehow fed back into the press without being ejected properly and was struck a second time, slightly rotated in alignment, creating a ghost-like second image of Lincoln overlapping the first, a surreal and almost haunting effect that collectors absolutely adore because it demonstrates such a rare combination of mint mishaps. And as if the double strike wasn't enough, the coin also exhibits clear signs of a broad strike error, where the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking was either missing or improperly seated, causing the coin to expand outward beyond its normal diameter and produce a wider, flatter shape with no fully formed rim, something that makes the coin feel different in your hand and gives it an unmistakable presence. And when we flip the coin to examine the reverse side, the oddities continue, because the Lincoln Memorial design shows severe weakness in certain areas due to improper striking pressure, with some of the steps of the memorial barely visible and several of the letters in E pluribus unum looking faint or partially missing, while other areas of the design appear doubled, likely the result of die shift during the striking process, and upon closer examination under magnification, experts have also identified traces of die clash marks, faint outlines of Lincoln's profile visible in the fields of the reverse, indicating that at some point the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of the obverse design onto the reverse die and then onto subsequent coins, and the layering of all these errors, wrong planchet, off-center strike, double strike, broad strike, die clash, strike weakness, and partial missing details, makes this coin an almost impossible minting accident. The kind of thing that by all odds should never have happened but somehow did. And to add yet another layer of intrigue, the coin's provenance is just as fascinating as its physical features, because this coin was not discovered by a professional coin dealer or a seasoned numismatist, but by an ordinary person going through their change jar in early 2009, who noticed that one penny looked weird compared to the others, and rather than spending it, they tossed it into a small box of odd coins where it sat for nearly a decade until they decided to bring it to a local coin shop for appraisal. And when the shop owner weighed it and saw the reading of 3.11 grams, they immediately suspected a wrong planchette error and sent it for certification. And when the grading service examined it, they not only confirmed the bronze composition but also catalogued every single one of the dramatic striking errors present, assigning it an uncirculated grade due to its minimal handling and encapsulating it with one of the most detailed error descriptions ever seen on a Lincoln cent. And when word of this coin's existence began to spread in the numismatic community, it quickly became the subject of intense discussion in coin forums, auction previews, and collector meetups, with many calling it the most spectacular modern Lincoln cent error they had ever seen. And when it finally went up for auction, the bidding was nothing short of explosive, with multiple wealthy collectors and even institutional buyers driving the price higher and higher until it finally sold for a jaw-dropping $40 million, a price that shocked even veteran auctioneers and set a record for one of the highest prices ever paid for a 1-cent coin. And while some might question how a penny could possibly be worth that much, the answer lies in the perfect convergence of factors: extreme rarity, unique visual appeal, extraordinary combination of multiple major errors, historical curiosity about how such a mistake could have happened in a modern minting facility, and the sheer demand from collectors who know they may never again have a chance to own anything like it. And the lesson from this story is clear: never underestimate the value of even the most ordinary-looking coin, because incredible treasures can still be found in everyday change. And the 2008 $40 million penny stands as living proof of that fact, a testament to the idea that history, chance, and human curiosity can turn something small and common into something truly priceless. And that is why, even today, collectors continue to search, hoping that lightning might strike again in the form of another once-in-a-lifetime discovery just waiting to be noticed by someone with a keen eye and a sense of wonder. Last 1988 1-cent USA coin. Everyone to another fascinating journey into the incredible and often unbelievable world of rare coins where history, art, and chance collide to create treasures worth fortunes far beyond their humble face value. And today, we are about to explore the remarkable story of a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary penny but in reality is one of the most valuable small coins ever discovered. A coin that has stunned collectors, baffled experts, and set records in the numismatic world. A 1988 Lincoln 1-cent piece that somehow defied all odds to become worth an astonishing $95 million. And as we unravel the details behind this incredible valuation, I want to welcome all of you watching who are coin enthusiasts, history lovers, treasure hunters, and the simply curious, because you're about to hear a tale that will change the way you look at the change in your pocket forever. And it begins with the year 1988, a year that was seemingly ordinary for the Lincoln cent series but secretly produced one of the most mind-blowing minting errors ever recorded. Because in that year the United States Mint was still striking pennies in the copper-plated zinc composition introduced in 1982. Meaning each coin was supposed to have a zinc core making up 97.5% of its weight with a thin 2.5% copper plating. And this process was designed to save money on production costs compared to the older 95% copper-bronze composition. But for this one special coin something went terribly wrong from the very beginning, because metallurgical analysis would later prove that this particular 1988 cent was not struck on a zinc planchette at all but on a leftover bronze planchette weighing the pre-1982 standard of 3.11 grams. which should have been completely phased out by then, making it already an extreme rarity. But that was just the first layer of the story, because the striking process for this coin also went spectacularly awry in ways so unusual and so dramatic that collectors could hardly believe it when the coin was first revealed to the public, starting with the obverse die, the side with Abraham Lincoln's profile, being a transitional design mismatch, because instead of using the standard 1988 obverse die, this coin was struck with a leftover 1987 obverse die which had subtle but important design differences in the spacing and shape of the letters and numbers, especially in the date and the G in Liberty, creating what experts call a transitional error, and combining that with the wrong metal planchet made this coin already an almost impossible find. But it didn't stop there, because the coin also exhibits a dramatic double strike, meaning it was struck once and then, without being ejected, struck again slightly off-center, producing a faint ghost image of Lincoln's bust overlapping the primary portrait, and the second strike itself was misaligned due to a collar malfunction, resulting in a partial broadstrike effect where the rim on one side is thicker and more pronounced than the other while part of the edge is weakly formed, and when you turn the coin over to examine the reverse, the anomalies continue to pile up, because instead of the normal reverse design intended for 1988, this coin shows the reverse used in 1989, meaning that it is in fact a mule error where the obverse and reverse dies from different years were paired together in production, something so rare that in the world of coin collecting it can push values into the millions instantly, and on top of that the reverse design has die clash marks clearly visible in the fields, where parts of Lincoln's portrait from the obverse have been faintly impressed into the areas above and around the Lincoln Memorial, meaning that at some point the dies struck each other without a planchet in between, transferring parts of the obverse design to the reverse die and then onto this coin, creating an eerie ghost image of Lincoln appearing above his own memorial, and even more unusual is the doubling visible on several letters of E pluribus unum and United States of America, an effect caused by die shift or hub doubling, which under magnification shows crisp separation lines on the edges of the letters, something collectors highly prize. And all of these errors, wrong metal composition, transitional obverse, mule pairing, double strike, broad strike, die clash, and doubling, are each in themselves valuable, but to have them all occur together on a single coin is something so astronomically unlikely that many experts have called it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and the provenance of the coin only adds to its mystique because it was reportedly discovered in the early 1990s by an unsuspecting individual in Illinois who had received it as part of change at a local grocery store, and while they noticed that it looked a bit different, they simply tossed it into a jar of odd-looking coins where it remained for more than 20 years until a family member with an interest in coin collecting began sorting through the jar and weighed the coin out of curiosity, discovering that it was heavier than normal, leading them to bring it to a local coin dealer who immediately recognized that they might be looking at something extraordinary, and from there the coin was sent to one of the top grading and authentication services where it was carefully examined, photographed, and tested, and when the results came back confirming all the errors present, the coin was encapsulated with one of the most detailed error descriptions ever printed on a grading label, and the buzz in the numismatic community was immediate, with experts and collectors alike clamoring to see the coin in person, and when it eventually went up for auction, the anticipation was electric, with bidding starting in the hundreds of thousands and quickly skyrocketing into the millions as some of the world's wealthiest collectors fought for the chance to own it, and when the hammer finally came down at an unbelievable $95 million, it instantly became one of the most valuable coins in history, and the question many people ask is how could a penny be worth so much? And the answer lies in the perfect storm of conditions that created it, an incredible combination of multiple rare errors, historical significance due to the transitional and mule features, a wrong metal planchet that should not exist for the date, and a provenance that confirms its authenticity beyond doubt. And when you put all that together with the fact that it is the only known example of its kind, You have a coin that is not just a piece of money but a piece of minting history, a tangible artifact of human error, chance, and the unstoppable curiosity of collectors, and the existence of this coin serves as a powerful reminder that incredible treasures can still be found hiding in plain sight, sometimes in your own pocket change, and that is why so many people who hear stories like this become more attentive to the coins they handle every day, because while the odds of finding something like the 1988 $95 million penny are astronomically small, the potential reward is so life-changing that it inspires countless collectors to keep searching, examining, and learning. And the moral of this story is simple. In the world of coins, even the smallest detail can make the biggest difference, so never take a penny for granted, because the next one you look at might just be the discovery of a lifetime.